This guy actually turned his little daughter into a dog. Not only that, he brought her out in front of everyone to show off, without feeling even a shred of guilt. And this man used to be just some poor scientist. But over the past 2 years, he'd managed to create a talking chimera. Because of this, he got the government's attention and became a state alchemist. When Edward heard about the guy, he made a special trip to visit him at his house. But what Edward saw in the man's lab were nothing but failed experiments. The man explained that his experiments weren't going well. So Edward started looking through the books in the lab. But just then, a little girl suddenly showed up. The girl kept making a mess, and even brought along a big dog. Edward had no choice but to leave and come back the next day. In a week, the government was going to re-evaluate all the state alchemists. Anyone who didn't pass would lose their state alchemist title. When that happened, the man would lose everything he had. This made him incredibly anxious, but his little daughter had complete faith in him. Even if dad couldn't be a state alchemist anymore, she wouldn't leave home like mom did, because the girl thought her father was the kindest person in the world. But the girl had no idea that endless hell was waiting for her. The next day, Edward came back to visit, but this time, the house was eerily quiet. When Edward got to the man's lab, the man was grinning and showing off his latest creation. Then the man said Edward's name to the little dog in front of him. The next moment, the dog started repeating what the man said. Now the man didn't have to worry about losing everything anymore. But as Edward looked at this long-haired dog, something felt oddly familiar. Then the next moment, the girl actually started calling him Brother Edward. Edward instantly understood the truth. 2 years ago, the man used his wife to create his first chimera and successfully became a state alchemist. And now, to pass the evaluation, he'd actually fused his daughter and the dog into a chimera. 2 living beings had been turned into this because of one man's selfish desires. Yet the man didn't feel guilty in the slightest. In rage, Edward punched the man in the face. But just then, the chimera walked over. She called him daddy and asked worriedly if he was hurt. Even though the girl had become a chimera without the ability to think, she still cared about her dad just like before. And even now, the man was still carefully protecting that medal issued by the government. This completely broke Edward. He couldn't wrap his head around why a meaningless title could make someone this obsessed.